I'm Bishop.
And I'm Dr. Steph.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of Our Life, Our Journey.
Our truth.
And we're so excited to have you connected on today. It is a joy always to have you tuned in to this YouTube channel. We're so excited every single week for many of you who join us in this space. And it means a lot to us. And we want to make sure that you like, comment,
and subscribe and share with your friends and family.
Please do that, because that's how we continue to move this platform forward. Yes. And we are so grateful and thankful for all of you who do that. And make sure you follow me at Joseph Walker 3 on Instagram. Follow my wife at Dr. Steph Walker, and go to our website, josephwalker3.org. Get our merch. We talk about it all the time. You gotta get that connection series. It will bless you. A lot of great merch. Go check it out. I promise you, it'll be a blessing to your life. Well, we're excited about this particular conversation today because we're going to talk about what it means to really pursue purpose, right? And what it means to really, passionately go after your calling, like when you really walk in your calling. And I do a lot about purpose. We talk a lot about purpose, and that's one of the most universal questions in the earth, right? Why am I here?
Yeah.
What am I called to do? And I tell people all the time, purpose is always in the mind of the Creator. All of us have a unique purpose in life, and I believe that it is important to know that one of the key factors in discovering purpose is to know that purpose always aligns with peace. That when you are doing exactly what God has called you to do, that's when you know you're in a place of peace. And sometimes your spirit can be troubled to get your attention, that there is something God wants you to do.
Something more.
Something more. But when you finally say yes, that's when that peace comes over you. And I think one of the things that we talk about this all the time is that you have to get to a place that when you lock in on purpose, when you're really pursuing purpose, that you kind of divest yourself from the pressures of other people's expectations upon what they think you should be.
But first, just to go back, like a lot of people are asking, like, how do you even know what your purpose is?
Okay.
Like, how do you know?
Yeah. You're asking me?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you know? Well, let me break it down to you, all right? So, write this down. So purpose begins when you're understanding a predestination. Jeremiah chapter 1 says, before I formed you in the belly, I knew you. So God already preordained or predetermined what our purpose should be. Now we are born. And when we are born, watch what happens. We come into the world with a great deal of passion, right? But that passion is like light, but it's not focused light. That's why a child says, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a fireman, I want to be all these things, because it's a lot of passion. So we live our lives, we go down this trajectory.
And I'll interject here. So along the way, what God is actually doing is planting these small seeds. It may be something that you see, it may be something that you've been exposed to, it may be something that someone says, and it just stirs something in you.
Right.
You don't know as you're growing up, like why these things sort of stimulate your mind or grab your attention. But these sort of themes eventually over time, as you grow, will keep coming up over and over. And sometimes they go dormant, right, for a season, and then they come back. You're like, wow, I remember when I used to think about X, Y, and Z all the time, and now it seems to be coming back. Why?
Yeah. And those little, hints along the way, I think now become more sharpened. And all of a sudden that light is like a laser now, right? Because it becomes focused.
Yeah.
That's when you know that passion is focused, and now I have greater clarity. And that's where purpose meets. This is the thing, like I'm passionate, because you'll never have a purpose concerning something you're not passionate about.
Right.
Like if I'm not passionate about, kids, I don't have a purpose of opening up a daycare. What is that about?
Right,
So
right.
You have to.
God would plant that seed
He
inside
will
of
plant
you.
that seed. So people oftentimes we hear this a lot. The default is, well, I just want to help somebody. Well, that's broad. That's a big, broad light. But then when you start nailing that thing down, help people doing what? I want to work in the nonprofit world. I want to do this with children. I want to do this with the underserved. And all of a sudden now you begin to connect.
You're going back in time trying to figure out, like, where did that desire come from? When was that sort of stimulated in your mind? Like, what experience made you, or is making you think you want to do this? What desires do you have in terms of when you help people? Like, what does that mean? What do you help them what do you want to help them do? And so being able to put all those little puzzle
Yeah.
pieces together.
Yeah, and then that's the
Mm-hmm.
point when God is waiting for your yes, because
Mm-hmm.
that purpose is revealed and that He's waiting for your yes. And here's the challenge with that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the challenge is sometimes I've seen this where people have gone down a road in their own personal trajectories, and all of a sudden you realize that even though I'm going on this job, that's not my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so now when I see my purpose and I become, familiar with it, do I have the courage to actually step out and say yes and
Mm-hmm.
do that?
Mm-hmm.
When it conflicts or contradicts other people's expectations for my life.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Like people say, well, I always envision you to do this. And you're like, well, I'm only living out what other people want me to do, but there's something I'm carrying inside of me
Mm-hmm.
that's much bigger, that gives me
Mm-hmm.
more joy.
Mm-hmm.
So the goal is when you're in purpose, you don't go to a job, you go to purpose every single day.
But sometimes the reality is that you are just going to a job, right? Because you haven't yet discovered what
Oh
your
yeah.
purpose
Oh
is,
yeah, for
right?
sure.
But sometimes in that job, sometimes the purpose of
Will
allowing
emerge.
you to be in that job
Will
is
emerge.
so that you can understand that this ain't it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And sometimes being in that season, being in that place and space is exactly what you need
That's right.
to reveal what you want to do, or at the very least, meet the people who will help you transition to your next,
Yeah.
right? Like, there's no mistake. God is a God of order. He's a God that supernaturally orchestrates wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Don't count it as a loss, even if you feel like you're feeling lost.
Mm-hmm.
You're there for a reason. You're there for a purpose. Your job in this season, even if you feel like this isn't it, okay, this isn't it, Lord, then tell me, why am I here? What do I need
To
to get out
learn.
of this? What do I need to learn?
Yeah.
Who do I need to meet? What do I need to glean? What skill sets do I need to take away from this experience for my not yet? Right? Because there's always these stepping stones. So people always look at someone and they're like, they're operating in their purpose, like they were poof born and then walked in their purpose.
Yeah.
No, there were all of these steps along the way. And you can speak to many, many leaders across the board. The top leaders in the world will tell you when you sit down with them, their trajectory to their purpose was very circuitous. Basically, it was never a straight road. It was never a straight trajectory. It was this way, left, up, down, around the corner, up and down. And then, oh my goodness, I walked in this door and it was like, Eureka, this is it, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't always, it's not an easy journey to find your purpose, but it is a journey. And it's actually the journey, I would argue, that is the most important part of getting to the purpose, because along the way you're picking up all the resources and tools that you need along the journey. So enjoy it, absorb it, be mindful that you're in that season of journeying, right? I don't even know if that's a word, right? But that you're doing it with purpose, on purpose, to find your purpose, to fulfill the purpose that God put inside of you.
Woo. You on fire. Girl, you on fire over there. No, but that's what's up. I mean, that's like it, y'all. And the reality is, when you walk in purpose, right? When you're in that place, I talk about peace. That's when you have
Yes.
peace. Now, here is the thing.
Yeah, go ahead. Are we
Right?
going to say the same? Go ahead.
Let's see.
Go
No,
ahead.
you
Go
can-
ahead.
I'll digress. Quick.
No, go ahead.
No, so now you have a peace about it.
Uh-huh.
And when you have a peace about it, now comes decision time.
Mm-hmm.
Like the calling.
Yeah.
Because wherever there's a purpose, that's an assignment. You don't have a purpose for nothing. You are assigned to something.
Yeah.
And I say all the time, even in my book, No Opportunity Wasted, you are born to solve a problem.
Yeah.
So that purpose is always aimed at a problem in the earth. And it takes courage to step out and actually do it. Some people go to a job every day and they're actually in their purpose. That's what I meant by they don't view it as work, but I go to purpose. So they're passionate about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some people who are on jobs who are not in their purpose, but they're getting things along the way that can help them. What am I to gain here before I step out in it?
Yeah.
But the point in that is that you have to use wisdom
Yes.
when you step out into it.
Yes.
So there's courage and there's wisdom.
Yes.
When do I step out into my calling? How do I know it's time? That becomes the critical question. How do you know it's time? You know this very well, right?
Yeah.
Talk about your journey.
Well, I know in previous episodes we've talked about my journey, so I won't go into too much detail, but I think that many of us can say that when you think that you're operating in purpose, and for whatever season, you might very well be, right? For that specific thing in that specific season. But I also think that God has a sense of humor. Sometimes He allows us to feel like this one thing is our purpose. So we grind and we learn and we study and we do whatever we need to do to get to that thing that we're so passionate about. And then He flips that thing on us and makes us realize, hey, I was allowing you to do that because that was that passion or that desire that you had in your spirit.
Right.
And I knew that that was the one thing that you needed to drive you to do all these things and gain all these skill sets. But ha ha ha, it's really for this part of my kingdom that I want you to take those skill sets and utilize them for, to take you to the real level that I want you to go. Like, this is great, but if this is great, but this ain't it, imagine
Right.
where He's trying to take you,
Right.
which is, 10,000, leagues above whatever you're trying to, wherever you're currently sitting, So sometimes He has to make you in this very comfortable place where you are currently passionate. He starts to plant these seeds of discomfort. Like, I loved doing this. Like, this is what I've spent my whole life going for or doing and whatever, striving for. But now I'm feeling like there's more. More what? More where, Lord? Like, I thought this was it. I thought that's what this whole grind was for and what the whole grind was about. Now I'm feeling like I don't want to do this forever, but I'm getting older. I've spent a lot of money in education. Some people are married, some people have kids. Like, I've got all these other responsibilities. How do you expect me to transition to something else? How do I do that?
Yeah.
Why would I do that? I'm so comfortable here,
That's the word.
But again, He's planting those seeds of like irritation and discomfort and discontent. And it's because He's trying to get you to see that there's something else bigger and better in terms of where He's trying to send you and take you.
And that's so big, right? That is Abraham, chapter 12 of Genesis. God speaks to Abraham, get out from your place of familiarity. Go to a land I'm going to
That's
show
good,
you.
honey.
I'm going to make your name great. I'm going to bless you. I'm going to do all these things. But you have to make that decision
Yeah.
to get out of your comfort zone and
Yeah.
to go into something you've never gone before.
And it's interesting because you keep saying, like, when you find your purpose, you'll find the sense of peace.
Yeah.
And I say yes and no. So I do feel that you will find this sense of peace, like, wow, like, this is it.
Yeah.
Wow, I fit. Like, this is that puzzle piece that was missing.
Yeah.
But then as you start marching down that road of that trajectory, the devil knows what you're capable of doing if you follow that path of purpose. He knows that you are going to blow it out of the water. Lives will be transformed. Your life, your legacy will be transformed. The other people around you's lives will be transformed. You will be blessing people that probably aren't even born yet with what you're getting ready to do. So what do you think happens? He starts throwing fire in your game.
Every day.
So sometimes, and frequently, more times than not, when you are starting that transition and you're moving down that road of purpose, you're like, why am I being attacked? Why is this person turning on me? Why are you stabbing me in the back? I thought you were my friend. I thought you were my boy. I thought y'all were my people. Like, where is this all coming from? You are operating in purpose. That's why you're being attacked. Because the devil knows if he gives you a straight shot and allows you to do what you're supposed to do, you are going to transform the world. Okay? If he frustrates you enough, he can frustrate you enough to make you throw it away. He can't take it away from you. Once God sets you on a trajectory and once you're moving forward, he cannot take away what God has already prepared for you. It's already done, but you have to walk that road out. But the devil can frustrate you enough to make you give up, to make you give in, to make you throw it away, to make you quit. That's on you. So you have to recognize that this is that season. You will come under attack. If you're on the right road, doing the right thing for the right reason, you will come under attack. And so just mentally preparing for that. And so when that happens, know that you really are doing the right thing and making the right moves.
Confirmation.
Yes,
For somebody.
confirmation.
It's
Yes.
confirmation. I mean, it's confirmation. Every time I've walked into purpose, done exactly what God wanted me to do,
Yeah.
I could expect attack.
Yes.
But I viewed that attack as confirmation that I was doing exactly what God put me on the planet to do.
Every single time.
Every single time. And the most important part of that is that when you're in purpose and you're walking in your calling, it's focus.
Yeah.
You can't be distracted by all the things that are coming at you, all the different things that are attempting to derail your destiny. You have got to stay focused.
Yeah.
Exhibit A. Peter is on the boat. Jesus is walking on the water. And Peter says, Lord, if it's you, let me come.
Yes.
Jesus says, if you want this,
step out.
Step on out. Peter steps out of the boat, leaves the other disciples in the boat, because purpose often pulls us away from the crowd. Purpose pulls us away from what is comfortable.
Yes, Virginia. Yes.
It puts us in places that are unfamiliar.
Yes.
Because it's all about faith. Do you trust God?
Yes.
Move to a new city. Do you trust Him?
Yes.
Stepped in a new job space. Do you trust Him? Going back to school. Do you trust Him?
Yeah, that's good.
Right? And then Peter starts walking on the water toward Jesus.
And then
The storm, the winds, the waves, representing distractions. And what does he do? Take his eye off of Jesus.
Oh, Lord, what's going on?
And wondering whether or not the Lord's going to save him.
Right.
And the beauty of this is that the Bible says, and Peter, beginning to sink, called out to the Lord reached down, grabbed him by the right hand, pulled him up, and the Bible said they ended up back on the ship. Now, what I think is so amazing, a couple of things. One is that failure doesn't mean it's final.
That's right. That's good.
Everybody that's ever walked in a calling, ever walked in pure purpose, has had failures along the way.
Yeah. Failures is how you learn.
That's how you learn.
Yeah.
That's how you grow.
Yeah.
So you can't say, oh, maybe this is wrong. I shouldn't have done it. Everybody has failures. Everybody loses sight.
Expect them. Yeah.
Expect them.
Yeah. It's unfamiliar territory. Of course you're going to mess up every once in a while.
Yes.
Of course you're going to have a misstep. But those missteps are there to redirect you to the right steps.
Oh, man. Y'all heard that, right? The missteps are to direct you to the right steps. And then think about this. Here's a beautiful one. Peter beginning to sink, meaning that the Lord did not let him completely submerge. I don't know who this is for.
Yeah.
But God is not going to let you go under. I say it again. He's not going to let you, your family, your business, your income. He's not, and that's always a fear.
But you got to call his name.
You got to. What my church fan?
You stupid. You
This girl dropping some word. Y'all hear this?
Well, and I say this because sometimes when we're moving through life, we're so focused that we forget who put us there. You're so focused that you're thinking about Sue and Bob and Rob and Tom and James trying to get you to the next level. Who am I going to call next? And you forget that the first thing that you need to do before you step your foot out the bed is pray. Lord, order my steps today. Guide me, lead me, direct me. Tell me and show me where I'm supposed to go before your feet hit the ground. You forget to take God with you. And so when these attacks come, you're running over here and running, what should I do? What should I do? Sit down and pray about it. Yeah. Ask God what you should do. He's already set you on this trajectory. It's His story for you. Why not ask the person who wrote the book what you're supposed to do? You know, like we bought these books for my son, and it's like these, what will you do next? So you read the story, and then there's 2 questions on the bottom. What are you going to do next? And they're asking you. Well, ask the author, what are you supposed to do next? As opposed to asking everybody else around you.
Yeah. Man. Y'all see what I live with? I live with the word. I'm telling you, you better call his name. Yeah. And then, not only that, but let me tell you something. Peter goes back after he falls. Goes back to the ship. But this is what I love. Watch this one. Peter steps out on the boat and he walks toward Jesus. He slips. takes Jesus by the hand and he says, how did he get back to the boat? This time, I'm not letting your hand go.
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Yeah.
I may fall one time.
Yeah.
Second time, I ain't letting your hand go.
Yeah.
We're going back together.
Yeah.
End of the day.
You will learn.
You will learn. Your calling cannot be done in your own strength, your own gifting.
Mm-hmm.
But your calling is lived out when you truly hold the hand of him who first called you.
Yes. Amen.
God is holding my hand throughout this whole thing.
Yeah.
I won't let him go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I'm successful in what I do.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you're going to be successful in what you do.
Yeah.
That you make up your mind, I am not that's a hold to his hand. God's unchanging hand. What?
Well, and then also that's how you're able to grow that thing. Like whatever that thing is that you're supposed to be doing in life, that purpose that you have, it's not one dimensional, right? And if you're putting all this energy and time and effort and faith into building this thing, do you think God's just going to allow it to just be one thing?
No.
No, you're going to build that thing. You're going to build it strong. But that is simply the first pillar of all the things that he wants to blossom out of you, to grow out of you. And so you see these amazing people and they're doing all these things. And you're like, how did you do that? Because if you ask them and you really delve deep, they're all those endeavors are still pointing back to the same purpose.
Same purpose.
But
All
they're
connects.
just offsprings. They're just branches of that. Yeah. And you have to hold God's hand and allow him to walk you through. Don't forsake him as you're moving through, because he's the one that's going to give you the capacity and the strength and the wisdom to be able to do all that outbranching, because it's work. It's a lot of work. People get burned out. I think I've experienced burnout, but in my opinion, frequently it's because you've stepped out of bounds.
Out of bounds.
And you're doing something that you shouldn't do, or you're trying to do it in your natural and by yourself. You forget that in order to be truly successful, you have to take God with you, and you have to constantly pray, and you have to constantly seek his strength in everything that you're doing. Because if you try to do it all in this natural being, mind, body, it's too much. It's too much.
That's good. That's good. Well, listen, guys, this has been an amazing conversation, and we appreciate you just being a part of it. And I pray that you will walk squarely in purpose, that you will unapologetically walk in your purpose and pursue your calling, and know that God has incredible things he wants to do in your life. And it's not just one dimensional, it's so much more. And just whatever you do, make sure you hold his hand. He'll get you there. I guarantee you. Well, I'm Bishop.
And I'm Dr. Steph.
Until next time.